I was saying in the many gratitude notes for Magda that she had a crucial role. Come to think of it, she probably changed my life without ever kissing. I don't think, no, 99.9% we never even kissed. No, have we held hands? I think I'm thinking about it. But, well, that might have been. But that's holding a hand. That's obviously not much, if anything. So yes, she made me read, and with fervor, I would say, for some time, literature. It wouldn't last that long because selecting an engineering profile, which might have been a mistake, probably was a mistake to some extent, because later, after graduating geophysics, I would never work as a geophysicist for a day. So, seen from that perspective, not good. Maybe literature would have been some humanistic specialty. But then again, who knows? That could have been a situation where I would graduate much earlier and then would be sent as a professor to teach, as a teacher, to be in some high school or in a commune or small city somewhere, and then who knows, I would be talking to you from Fundata or Căpățâneni or something. So there's that, and it's not a question here of going into the alternatives. I think that's maybe I'm thinking of a science fiction scenario. Maybe I mentioned it in some of the other episodes, let's say. One would be that those across the fence there would invade, because this is gated community, which would have some food probably a few days after the eventual catastrophe strikes. Definitely, the second wave of the pandemic, people die in droves. Nu exagera. He's going over the top. And then, as in those dystopian books or movies, all hell breaks loose. But we haven't reached that far. Let's finish with this reality as far as I can remember it, and then we'll move on to the science fiction business. So, she had an impact, because then also I went through a phase, surely in large part because of the influence of this girl. It could have been, let's say, another redneck like me, and then the push would have been to get some alcohol, to be even more of a Golan than I already was, a bum, and a different trajectory again. But she also gave me a push, I'm sure, in large part, to use some stoic, ascetic principles. In that, for instance, I saw this. I saw the flaws and shortcomings, but and then I said, okay, let's punish this guy for what he's not doing. And I went as far as to, for instance, I wouldn't do something in studying in school and whatever, and I would say, okay, I will not watch the cultural program. There was a cultural program I started to watch once I got close to this girl, and there was the musical soiree, or serata muzicală, and it was a joy and a gift for those who try to aspire to a higher level of understanding of culture, of erudition, if you will. And I would say, okay, I didn't do this, whatever it was, so I wouldn't give myself the pleasure to watch that. Or more prosaically, food. I would not starve, but deprive myself of some food, which was an interesting effect of this girl in an effort to try and be better. It's true, she gave the push, and then reading Dostoevsky, reading some of those great books, also watching some, I remember there was an impact, watching some Shakespeare plays on television, as long as it was something on television, because in the final years it was just 2 hours of Ceausescu and communist propaganda, like they have now in North Korea, and to some extent China, of course, the new evil empire. Not because Trump says so, that he's an idiot, but he's at least to some extent right in this part. I mean, he cannot be absolutely false. He's not the perfect evil. He's not nearly perfect evil. 99% rotten of what he says. He has a 1% where he just happens to like China. So watching Shakespeare, I didn't get much. I mean, not the deeper sense, the sophistication, the references, no. But I could see those people as men. Well, the men were the role models, of course. As a man, aspiring. I mean, teenagers aspiring to be a man. And the way they walked tall and they stood with dignity, and I had a feeling that, well, this is the role model. This is the way. Anticipating to some extent, he's again doing the naughty things. To some extent, a rule I've read the other day. Jordan Peterson, A New Discovery, seems to be a very, very special man, intellectual, influencer, as they say today, thinker. And his rule of standing tall, stand tall, because otherwise you will invite others to make you a victim, the same way as lobsters do.